With training camp right around the corner, I decided to put together a list of the top 5 Dolphins players with the most to prove in the 2017 season. Certainly, there are plenty of worthy candidates. In fact, thinking about it, I could have made this a top 10 or a top 15 list, but I narrowed it down to 5. So without further ado, let's begin at number 5. Mike Pouncey comes in at number 5 on this list, and the big question here is, can he stay healthy? We know how good he is when he's on the field. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler. And to illustrate that further, Pouncey has missed 17 games over the last 3 years, hasn't played a full 16-game season since 2012, appeared in just 5 games last season, and in those 5 games, he was on the field in 2016. Listen to this. The Dolphins averaged 26.6 points, 154.4 rushing yards, and gained 5.1 yards per carry. In the 11 games that he missed, those numbers dropped to 20.9 points per game, 95.6 rushing yards, and 4.1 yards per carry. And what's alarming to me is the report from a few weeks ago that Pouncey wasn't held out of the offseason workout program because of extreme caution. It's that he hadn't been cleared by doctors. Most accounts and reports indicate that he'll be ready for the beginning of the regular season, but he has to prove that he can play a full 16-game schedule. He became the highest-paid center at the time in the league when he signed his big extension in 2015, and he needs to live up to that. Again, when he's on the field, he's terrific and plays great football. He's a leader both in the locker room and on the field, but he makes this list of being a player that has the most to prove because he needs to prove to the Dolphins fans, his teammates, coaching staff, front office, that he can stay healthy and hopefully play a 16-game season. All right, number 4 of the Dolphins players with the most to prove in 2017 is Julius Thomas, the tight end. In his final 2 seasons in Denver, he totaled a combined 108 catches, 1,277 yards, and 24 touchdowns. In his 2 seasons in Jacksonville, he had 67 receptions, 736 yards, and just 9 TDs. So a steep drop-off in production, to say the least. But it's also worth noting that he only appeared in 21 games between 2015 and 2016, so he's battled injuries. And let's be honest, the Jaguars' offense, especially last season, was fairly putrid. They struggled mightily. So going from a Peyton Manning-led offense in Denver to a Blake Bortles-led offense in Jacksonville, certainly you expected things to change, but the Dolphins, in pulling off the trade to acquire Thomas and inheriting his contract this offseason and then restructuring it to a 2-year, $12.2 million deal, you know that they're looking for the Denver Broncos version of Julius Thomas and not the Jaguars version. And anytime you get traded, you have something to prove to both your new team, you want to make a positive impression, and also your old team, and letting them know, hey, you got rid of me a little too soon. Also, the point that needs to be made here is he's never played a full 16-game season in his career. So same thing with Pouncey. You have to wonder, can he stay healthy? And can he prove Mike Tannenbaum, Chris Greer, and especially Adam Gase, prove them right for believing in him? Gase certainly got the best out of him when the two were together in Denver. Question is, will a reunion do the trick? And how will the Dolphins utilize him in this offense? All very intriguing questions. And the bottom line, Thomas has something to prove in the upcoming season. All right, number 3, Devontae Parker, the wide receiver. Since being selected with the 14th overall pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, Parker has produced mixed results. Just 26 catches as a rookie, 56 in his second year, and a combined 7 touchdowns. Now, we all know this, but his blend of size, speed, strength, and athleticism is absolutely tantalizing. So much raw, malleable talent there. His issue has been from a maturity and a professionalism standpoint. Adam Gase has mentioned this, and even Devontae has admitted that himself. But from everything we've heard this offseason, not only has he revamped his approach to being a professional, but he also has been one of the standout performers of the offseason workout program, OTAs, and minicamp. So while that certainly is worth mentioning, it doesn't really mean anything until he does it come training camp, come the preseason, come the regular season. So obviously he has to get the job done then, but I think he's on the right path, and he certainly has all the physical tools. The question is, can he combine his God-given physical gifts with his mental development and his evolution as a mature professional? Parker makes my list of Dolphins with the most to prove, and rightfully so, but I also have a strong feeling that he will step up this year and be one of the team's best stories in 2017. So if I had to bet on somebody to prove everybody right in terms of the expectations they've had for him since he came in as a first-round pick, I think Devontae Parker is going to deliver this year, but he still falls at number 3 in my top 5 list of Dolphins players with most to prove in 2017. We transition to number 2. It's another third-year player. It's Jordan Phillips, the defensive tackle. Supremely athletic defensive tackle. Was a bit of a controversial selection out of Oklahoma in the 2015 NFL Draft. Entered the league with an enticing combination of size and athleticism, but the tape showed a player whose effort and consistency left a lot to be desired. When he was engaged, he was dominant, but he'd go through stretches in which he seemed disinterested, distracted. Who knows how you want to describe it, but we just know that his production wasn't there during stretches. The pick was also controversial on a very quiet, behind-the-scenes level, because even though Dennis Hickey was the general manager at the time of the selection, I can tell you for a fact that Mike Tannenbaum stepped in to override his general manager on the pick. This was a Tannenbaum pick. He was in love with Phillips, and he made this selection. I was told that Hickey probably would have gone in a different direction, but Tannenbaum got his guy. So regardless of all of that, Phillips is entering his 3rd season as a member of the Miami Dolphins, and so far the inconsistency he displayed in college has followed him to the NFL to a certain degree. Miami began the offseason by releasing Earl Mitchell, opening up plenty of playing time for Phillips alongside of Ndamukong Suh. And outside of Suh, the only other defensive tackles on the roster are Nick Williams and a pair of late-round draft picks in Devon Godshaw and Vincent Taylor. Bottom line, the time is now for Jordan Phillips to prove his worth, and he'll have every opportunity to do so in 2017 from a playing time standpoint, from an opportunity standpoint. The question is, can he put it all together? Because he has the physical talent. And I see a lot of similarities between Parker and Phillips in that they're both in the same draft class, both physically extremely, extremely talented and gifted. And I think this 3rd season will be a big step for both of them potentially to take. That's why, respectively, Parker and Phillips landed number 3 and number 2 on my list of the Dolphins with the most to prove in the 2017 season. All right, drum roll, please. Number 1, Ryan Tannehill, the quarterback. Of course, right? Probably to no one's surprise, Ryan Tannehill is back in the spotlight and tops this list as having the most to prove in 2017. First of all, it comes with the territory when you play the most important position in sports, and for a guy that's being paid as the franchise quarterback. Tannehill enters the new season with plenty to prove mentally and physically. He's coming off a 2016 that was cut short due to a knee injury. He has returned this offseason and seems to be moving well. He, his coaches, and teammates have all had very positive reviews for him and his mobility. So everything has looked good so far. However, one of the first ways he needs to prove himself is to himself. Psychologically, how will he respond to being hit for the first time? When that knee gets a direct hit from a helmet, how will he respond? Of course, it's important for his knee to respond well physically, but it may be just as important for him mentally to get that first hit out of the way and move forward with the campaign. Assuming Tannehill gets back on the field and is in good health, my question then becomes, can he get back to where he left off last season? His knee injury occurred on December 11th against the Arizona Cardinals, and it was such a disappointing development because not only was the team playing well, but Tannehill seemed more and more comfortable every week under Adam Gase in that offense. Certainly there's an adjustment period when you bring in a new offensive coordinator, in this case a new head coach who's running the offense in Adam Gase. Tannehill finally looked like he was getting to a great comfort level in the offense, and just when it appeared that he was completely hitting his stride, taking ownership, a full command of the system, that's when the injury happened. But let's think back to prior to the injury. Beginning in Week 6 against the Steelers through Week 14 against the Cardinals with a bye week in there in the mix, Tannehill put up very efficient and impressive numbers. In 8 games, he completed 69% of his passes, threw for over 1,700 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. And most importantly, the team finished 7-1 during that stretch. So, can Tannehill pick up where he left off? And not just that, can he even further improve upon what we saw prior to his injury? Those are the big questions I have for Ryan Tannehill. And again, you may think he doesn't have as much to prove as some of those other players, but to me, when you're the quarterback, when there's still questions about whether he is truly the franchise player, he very easily, to me, tops this list. So to recap, Mike Pouncey, Julius Thomas, Devontae Parker, Jordan Phillips, and Ryan Tannehill, those are my picks for the Dolphins with the most to prove in 2017.